Hello, good morning to you. It's a Monday morning and welcome to the newspaper review reaching you live from our studios right here in Lagos. I am Oyin Priye Krumale and I have my colleague with me, Esther.
Good morning. Good morning. It's good to see you this morning.
Yeah, good morning.
And I have the urge to say thank God it's Monday. You know, on Fridays we say thank God it's Friday. But today it's thank God it's Monday, and it's a beautiful Monday morning. We're already in the second week of January in the year 2022. My name is Esther Kalu, and on the newspaper review, what we do is beautiful, is intentional. We look at the dailies. We come and let you know the stories on dailies, and we have conversations about it, and not just dailies in Nigeria but papers across the world.
Exactly.
On the Punch newspaper this morning, I can see a lot about politics and politicking. I have to say that Nigerians are putting in a lot of energy into the 2023 elections. You know how it is where COVID came and we forgot all other ailments. That is how the 2023 election is making us forget a whole lot. I mean, because there's a lot of energy on the region that the president should come from. Yes. So today on the news, we have this women's group urging Adeshino to come out, and I'm like, okay, why are they urging him to come out? And someone said that's how Tinubu was urged to come out, and now he's out. What should we expect? And you know, the clamor, of course, the Southeast and North and the Northern Elders Forum have come out to say that let me not let the cat out of the bag. Okay. I think I should just keep it and let's get to that point. But I'm hearing some intelligent talks about it doesn't matter where the president is coming from. What matters right now is the delivery, is the capacity, and is the strength to be able to lead a multicultural nation. Now to the dailies. The Punch newspaper is where we start, and on the top of the Punch newspaper we have the headline there saying fuel subsidy crisis, states kick as NNPC continues deductions and FAAC meets on Wednesday. And next here says PDP governors meet, decide on 2023 zoning to advise NWC. Fares soar and tension rise as Anambra fumes over Tuesday's IPOB sit at home. Women group urges AFDB President Adeshino to contest presidency. Make governors forum meetings virtual to prevent spread of COVID-19. That's still on the Punch newspaper. We have another major story here. Senator demands probe into death of Ogun 5 farmers and headers, talking about insecurity in the country. Supreme Court admits registry error, reverses 2.4 billion naira ruling against GT Bank. This is in connection with the Innocent and GT Bank case a long time ago, and there's an update. You want to read that up on the Punch newspaper. Electoral Act don't override Buhari. Jega wants National Assembly. Another major story on the Punch newspaper. And more, release Kanu, Igboho seek political solution, Igbo think tank tells Buhari. And lastly on the front page, federal government applauds NCC's commitment to enhancing digital skills in youth. I think I'll take one more before I call it a wrap. Electoral bill takes front burner as National Assembly resumes on Tuesday. Yes, that's it on the top of the Punch newspaper. Do you want to take the first story?
Let's begin with the first story. Fuel subsidy crisis, states kick as the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation NNPC continues deductions. Federal Accounts Allocation Committee meets on Wednesday. The story briefly reads that there are strong indications that states and federal governments are again on a collision course as the Federation Account Allocation Committee holds its first meeting in the year 2022 on Wednesday. State officials who spoke to journalists on Sunday faulted the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation's continued deduction from the Federation Account Allocation Committee funds to finance fuel subsidies, saying the issue would come up on Wednesday's meeting. while I was looking at this particular story, it was we could see the bickering or the complaint. States government, most especially being represented by the finance ministers or the finance commissioners of the different states government, lamenting the deduction of fuel subsidy from the source. The source meaning the money that is meant to be spent by the federal government, or the money that is meant to be shared rather by the federal government, the state government, and the local government, the three tiers of government. So fuel subsidy, the federal government wants to pay fuel subsidy about 270.83 billion naira, and is making deductions of that money from the federation account, from the source. So the state government are complaining that it is the federal government that has the responsibility, the sole responsibility, either to remove or to retain fuel subsidy. Now, if the federal government is going to pay subsidy, it must be with the consent of the state government, because the state government are equally complaining that they do not have the accurate figure of how much fuel the nation consumes in a day, and that you cannot even begin to compare the amount of fuel that is being consumed in Lagos State and the amount of fuel that is consumed in Ekiti State or in Zamfara State or in Kaduna State. So if we are going to pay fuel subsidy and you are going to make deductions from the source, it will be cheating some states. Because if we are to have the detailed amount of how much each state consumes with regards to fuel
and the population
as well, then in that case you can deduct how much the money you're going to deduct from Lagos State should be different from how much you deduct from Ekiti State. Ekiti State cannot consume less than 1% of fuel in a month, and you're deducting about 3 billion naira. So they feel if we're going to have a regime of fuel subsidy and we're going to be paying that, it must be with the consent of state government. If the federal government is not going to consent or seek the consent of state government, and then the federal government should handle it alone. However, when the money that needs to be shared between the three tiers of government has been shared, then let them remove that of subsidy from the federal government.
Okay, I think that's a better, that's where you landed was a better point. Because I can't imagine maybe Borno State that is dealing with insecurity and whatever they are making, their allocation as a state now, whatever amount they are making as a state now isn't as important as their lives as we speak. Because the rate at which they are dealing with IDPs, internally displaced persons, and the insecurity situation there would be such that fuel subsidy would not be their priority. Do you understand that? And if the people have to deal with the fact that they can't even sell their produce, their farm produce, they can't move them, they can't access the farms. People, each state is dealing with different things. In the south, they are dealing with suits and dealing with refinery issues. So if River State is complaining that we have more pressing needs, and Zamfara is saying we are trying to deal with our lives and our properties, and Borno State, it might cause an imbalance in the sharing of fuel subsidy, in the way that the allocation is made, in the way that we are even trying to make the money from the states in the first place. So the way you ended it's fine, quite all right, but I feel that we still need financial experts to not just help in understanding how, because I can perceive the hardship on the people if we do not handle this matter right. I can perceive that. The Guardian newspaper placed it in a very, very different dimension when it has to do with fuel subsidy, talking about land and properties. Lagos State is already dealing with high rents as we speak. Let's fuel subsidy not increase it. You understand? Where a landlord is telling you that for 1-room apartment you're going to be paying 1 million naira. not in the
part of town.
In one part of town where the electricity is. Let's not get into that.
But one of the things they are not, the state government and the federal government, one of the things they are not looking at is if it should be removed or it shouldn't be removed. They are complaining on how much they received. And the finance minister from Ekiti State, Mr. Oyebode, was saying that states needs money.
Internally generated revenue.
Yes, they are at the brink of, they are facing somewhat economic challenges, and they need this money. And so they are going to be meeting on Wednesday, and this is going to be the top on the agenda of what they will be discussing. And the federal government is not only mooting the idea rather of removing fuel subsidy come February this year, of which the Nigerian Labour Congress and some other civil society organizations are ready for a showdown.
They are ready for a showdown, but I also feel that the issue of value-added tax is something that is also that should be discussed as well in this, because when Lagos State and Rivers were talking about it last year, it felt like Wike and Sanwo-Olu were feeling like
the federal government.
Yes, and now all the states might even this. I think is also something that they should bring up big time, so that they don't leave one out and one other part of our revenue sharing formula is left out. But that's not all. Let's look at some electoral matters here. Today we have Electoral Act. Don't override Buhari. Jega warns National Assembly. That warns, the word "warn" is one word that when I see in the papers, I mean, it's amazing. The National Assembly should not override President Muhammadu Buhari over the stalemate on the Electoral Act Amendments Bill. A former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Atahiru Jega, has cautioned. According to him, since 2010, the country have not had any substantive improvements on electoral laws, while the 2021 electoral bill while in the 2021 electoral bill, there were a lot of substantive things. Jega said this on Sunday night in Abuja during a citizens' town hall meeting on Electoral Bill 2021 organized by Yaga Africa and Development Partners. About this, really, you know, the cooperation between the president and and the Assembly, National Assembly, concerning the Electoral Act bill has been such that has been on for a very, very long time. But as the election is getting closer, don't you think it will feel tougher to make that decision, especially coming from the presidency?
Well, I was, you know, before this amendment actually took place, the National Assembly, the Senate, the Red Chamber, and the Green Chamber, they were at it, and they made bold, pronounced statements that if Mr. President declines, if he does not endorse or assent to this bill the way we are presenting it to him, most especially with that particular clause of direct primaries that should be used as a new mechanism for the party primary level. They said they were going to override the president's assent, and they are going to assent that bill and make it
which they have a right to.
They have a right to constitutionally, but they did not. When Mr. President didn't endorse the bill, he gave reasons why. He was mentioning security, he was mentioning cost and some other issues, but they did. National Assembly didn't stay bold to their statement.
Well, let's wait. I have to say.
Do you know why this thing is because I could see from the article you read, and you see most political stakeholders are saying, okay, they don't want direct primaries. It should be left to the political parties to decide. The governor of Nasarawa State, Abdullahi Sule, was saying that the Electoral Act before it was made into law, brought to the fore of the National Assembly for reconsideration or amendment with 2023 elections in view, was that different political parties already have like 3 methods with which they use in electing leaders. And he talked about the consensus method, the indirect method, and in some cases the direct method. And that and immediately Mr. President, that bill was sent by the National Assembly to Mr. President. Some governors who didn't like the bill, or who felt that the bill won't be favorable, or they felt that, according to Mr. Sule, he said he limited the choices of the people. They went to see, some different political stakeholders went to see the president concerning it. So I was not surprised when he didn't append the bill, but I was surprised that the National Assembly didn't make bold their statement.
You know, let me just wrap up the last thing Jega said here. Jega said, with the way the provisions of of the bill stand, the National Assembly should do the needful rather than contemplating overriding the precedent by removing the contentious provisions.
The contentious provision is the direct primaries.
Yes. Yeah, but
that a lot of politicians doesn't want to. But can we consider the National Assembly, whilst they were trying to do that, they said it from the beginning that they were trying to make it very, very open for, people in different political parties to have the say in electing or selecting their leaders at the political party level, which we engender and promote participatory democracy at the political party level, which will actually result to presenting the most credible candidates that we made from any and every political party. On the newspaper review, many thanks for joining us. You can send our witness report to info@highparkstudios.com and direct messages on all our social media platforms. I am Oyin Priye Krumale. Do stay safe.
Yes, it is Esther Kalu here on the newspaper review. The news around the globe comes with more details at 3 p.m. and 9 p.m. Do stay safe. Bye-bye.